The sharp crack of my husband's hand, a real estate millionaire, against my cheek echoed through the granite halls of the Museum of Modern Art in Los Angeles, silencing 300 elite guests in a frozen moment, the champagne glass shattering at my feet like a fractured destiny. My cheek burned, my heart pounded wildly as a familiar, warm voice sliced through the stunned silence. Please, continue enjoying the evening. It belonged to Alexander, my billionaire ex, the host of this charity gala. 20 years of a hollow marriage, narcissistic abuse, and the secret of my pregnancy at 42 all erupted before the crowd. If you've ever felt trapped in a perfect yet suffocating life, this story will awaken you. Miss it, and you'll regret not discovering how one slap changed everything. Emily woke each morning in a sprawling 15,000 square foot Beverly Hills mansion, where the chirping of birds echoed through meticulously trimmed gardens, and the aroma of French roast coffee wafted from the kitchen, a ritual Michael, her husband, a tech mogul millionaire, performed himself as an essential part of the image of success he painstakingly crafted. Soft California sunlight streamed through floor-to-ceiling glass windows, glinting off Italian marble floors, yet Emily felt more keenly than ever the emptiness lurking beneath the glamorous facade. At 42, after years of futile, costly fertility treatments, she discovered she was pregnant. A pink line on the test appeared like an unexpected miracle, causing her to sink onto the cold marble bathroom floor. Tears streaming down from joy mingled with vague fear. But that joy dissolved swiftly when Emily stepped onto the terrace, where Michael sat with the Wall Street Journal and his phone, his Italian silk pajamas clinging to his frame, a symbol of success risen from nothing. She took a deep breath of Hollywood Hills air, wrapping her robe tightly around her, and whispered the good news. Michael looked up, his steely gray eyes appraising her like a risky investment, then repeated, "Pregnant?" His voice was flat, devoid of excitement, pure calculation. He pulled his hand away from her belly as if dodging a bothersome business issue, and Emily felt a chill run down her spine, not from the Pacific breeze, but from realizing this child, to him, was merely an unwelcome variable in his meticulously planned life. Emily had sacrificed so much to become the ideal wife Michael demanded. From the early days of their marriage, she gradually abandoned her fashion design career, a passion that once made her shine at Stanford University, to host lavish dinner parties for his Silicon Valley partners, smiling politely at their crude jokes and pretending not to notice Michael's flirtations with younger women at events. Old friends drifted away, subtly pushed out by Michael for being unsuitable for our new status, and Emily's dreams like opening a small design studio in San Francisco were buried under a glossy veneer of wealth. He controlled everything with finesse, tracking her spending through banking apps, secretly reading her emails to protect her from trouble, and isolating her from the outside world under the guise of love. Sometimes, Emily chuckled bitterly to herself, like when Michael gifted her a pricey diamond bracelet, but reminded her it reflected our success, making her feel more like a display piece than a wife. Through a video call with Sophia, her college best friend, now a marriage counselor in San Francisco, Emily began to reveal the cracks. Sophia listened as Emily described Michael's cold reaction to the pregnancy, gently pointing out that it wasn't mere shock but a sign of deep-seated narcissistic control. Emily initially denied it, justifying that Michael was just perfectionistic because he'd risen from a middle-class Queens, New York background to build a tech empire worth millions. But deep down, she knew Sophia was right. The subtle put-downs like, "You're lucky to have my guidance," or turning her into a prop for social media photos, were his ways of maintaining power. Standing on the terrace, gazing at the shimmering Hollywood Hills under the afternoon sun, Emily's hand instinctively cradled her pregnant belly, feeling gentle kicks from the tiny life inside a strength awakening, reminding her that life wasn't just about enduring, but about fighting to truly exist. Emily clutched the thick cream-colored envelope in her hands, her heart racing like a warning from the past, as Maria the housekeeper brought it into the kitchen of the Beverly Hills mansion on a golden California afternoon. The miraculous pregnancy she once saw as a new beginning now seemed to weave a more intricate web, as the sender's address Hayes Foundation conjured the image of Alexander Hayes, the billionaire ex she left behind 22 years ago. With trembling hands, she opened the envelope, revealing elegant script inviting her and Michael to a charity gala at the Museum of Modern Art in Los Angeles, supporting education programs for underprivileged children in California, an event hosted by Alexander himself. In that moment, Emily felt as if fate was mocking the fragility of the perfect life she had built, where the child growing inside her served as a reminder that nothing could stay hidden forever. Michael, upon hearing the news, lit up with the excitement of an entrepreneur sniffing opportunity. He viewed the invitation as a business jackpot. Alexander's $10 billion tech empire, from software apps to green investments, being a target he'd long pursued. "This is the key to getting close to Hayes," Michael declared, his voice echoing through the expansive living room filled with costly Italian furniture, where Emily often sat alone gazing at the Hollywood Hills. He failed to notice or deliberately ignored the tremor in his wife's frame when Alexander's name was mentioned, the awkward Stanford boy she once loved passionately. Back then, Alexander was a computer science student with a warm smile, listening to her share dreams of fashion design without judgment, unlike Michael, older, more polished, but always guiding her to fit his mold. Emily vividly recalled her choice 22 years ago, abandoning Alexander out of fear she wasn't worthy of his wealthy Boston family, choosing Michael for financial security, a decision that now felt like fate's bitter jest, as she realized that security was merely a facade for isolation. Now, 20 weeks pregnant, Emily artfully concealed her baby bump beneath loose designer dresses, a skill honed from the social galas Michael forced her to attend. He hired a private investigator and expensive Los Angeles service to dissect every detail of Alexander's life, from business interests to charitable connections, turning the invitation into a strategy akin to a corporate merger. Emily watched him pace his office, scribbling notes in the margins of thick reports, a wave of nausea rising not just from pregnancy, but from his cold calculation. Michael saw Alexander as a rival, but Emily glimpsed in him the shadow of a lost freedom. Alexander had once encouraged her passions, while Michael gradually molded her into an accessory, a beautiful, silent wife, perfect for his public image. Sometimes, she chuckled bitterly to herself, thinking that if life were a Hollywood movie, Michael would be the charming villain, while Alexander was the romantic hero she'd written out of her script. During a therapy session with Dr. Harper in Beverly Hills, a warm space with soft leather chairs and gentle lighting, Emily finally confessed the fear swelling inside her. She spoke of how Michael made her feel outwardly secure but deeply lonely, as if living in a museum where she was both curator and the most fragile exhibit. Dr. Harper listened, deftly pointing out that Michael's control wasn't love but narcissism, a subtle way to keep her small and dependent. Emily nodded, tears streaming as she recalled Alexander. He loved her for who she was, not a refined version, tailored for a world of power. The session ended with Emily staring out the window, where Los Angeles sprawled under the afternoon sun, and she wondered if this reunion would rekindle a long-extinguished spark of love or merely pour fuel on Michael's simmering anger, pushing everything to the brink. Dear audience, grab a glass of water, take a moment to relax, and keep listening to the story. The twists are still to come. And please drop a comment below letting me know where you're watching from and what time it is for you. It's always a joy to see who's joining us from around the world. Drop a 1 in the comments if you find this story gripping, so we can keep bringing you more captivating tales. Emily sensed the invitation from the Hayes Foundation like a ticking time bomb, its soft pulse reverberating through the air of the Beverly Hills mansion, where outward tranquility masked the widening cracks from her miraculous pregnancy and memories of Alexander. Preparing for the gala at the Museum of Modern Art in Los Angeles became a sophisticated psychological warfare, with Michael orchestrating like a strategic general, transforming Emily into the perfect weapon to impress his billionaire rival. He spent hours in the expansive walk-in closet, selecting a black silk dress that hugged her 24-week pregnancy curves, but cleverly concealed them under delicate pleats, a rodeo drive masterpiece worth a luxury car. Standing before the mirror, Emily felt like she was auditioning for a Hollywood film, where the leading lady must dazzle without overshadowing the director's script. A hint of bitter humor crept in as she mused that, if life were a movie, Michael would surely demand the starring role, while she was merely a sparkling accessory. Sophia flew in from San Francisco, bringing not just clothes but the heartfelt support of the only friend left after 20 years of isolation. They wandered through Rodeo Drive's opulent boutiques, where sales staff treated them like royalty upon recognizing Michael's name on the credit card. Sophia, with her marriage counselor's insight, watched Emily try on dresses and gently posed a question that weighed heavy in the air. Was Emily attending this gala as Michael's wife or as herself? The question pierced like a needle through the facade, stirring the internal struggle Emily had buried, torn between fear of an uncertain future with her unborn child and a faint hope for a freer version of herself. Emily forced a smile, thinking wryly that if life were a comedy, her closet was the stage, where pricey dresses hid secrets swelling like her pregnant belly. The evening before the shopping trip, they attended a dinner with Michael's business partners at an upscale Hollywood restaurant, where polished mahogany tables reflected candlelight and powerful faces. The wives whispered about Alexander. He's never married, still carrying a torch for someone from his past, their gossip drifting like premium cigar smoke, prompting Michael to grip Emily's hand under the table with enough force to leave faint marks. Emily felt his jealousy surge, not just over business prospects but from the invisible threat of her past. Those whispers rekindled Stanford memories, Alexander spending hours in a cafe listening to her talk about design dreams without interrupting. Unlike Michael, older and practical, always guiding her to fit his ambitions. Emily sipped non-alcoholic wine, chuckling inwardly at the irony. If Michael knew she was the someone from Alexander's past, he'd probably turn the dinner into a comical noir-style interrogation. In her next therapy session with Dr. Harper in Beverly Hills, where warm leather chairs and soft lighting invited truth, Emily delved deeper into those cracks. The doctor skillfully evoked college memories, helping Emily see that the past 20 years weren't a marriage but a luxurious prison, where Michael eroded her identity through subtle control, from choosing her friends to dismissing her dreams, shaping her into a version that suited his image of success. Emily felt emotions swell, from the pain of being diminished to a quiet anger for letting herself shrink nearly to nothingness. Doctor Harper suggested the invitation could be a chance to rediscover herself, but Emily left the office with mounting anxiety, especially after Michael's warning at dinner. "This is about our future, don't mess it up." His words echoed like a veiled threat, keeping Emily awake at night, her hand cradling her pregnant belly, wondering if the perfect mask would hold when she stepped into the museum, or if her past with Alexander would erupt like a long-primed bomb. Chandeliers glittered like falling stars, illuminating the grand hall of the Museum of Modern Art in Los Angeles, where 300 elite guests glided past each other like actors in a Hollywood film. But Emily's heart pounded wildly, not from the glamour, but because Alexander Hayes stepped into view. Tall, broad-shouldered, with silver streaks at his temples, he still carried the warm smile from their Stanford days, now tempered by the confidence of a billionaire philanthropist. Emily, in a black silk dress, clinging to her 24-week pregnant curves, felt time rewind. 22 years dissolved, leaving memories of moonlit California nights. But Michael, her tech mogul millionaire husband, nudged her toward Alexander, introducing her as a prized asset in the deal he was chasing. Emily forced a smile, thinking bitterly that if this were a movie, she'd be the costly ornament Michael flaunted to seal a $1 million contract. Tension flared the moment Alexander's gaze locked onto her, a deep look searching for the Emily of 22 years ago, the girl who dreamed of fashion design, not Michael's perfect wife. He paused, his breath catching, before greeting her with a warm voice, as if the 300 people around them, and Michael's calculated businessman's smile beside her, didn't exist. Emily sensed Michael's jealousy surging, like an undercurrent, as he gripped her hand tightly, steering her through the crowd to maintain control. Champagne trays floated by, white roses exuded a cloying scent, and the orchestra played a gentle waltz. but the air between them grew heavy, like the calm before a storm. Michael drank too much, each glass of champagne unraveling his polished veneer, exposing the insecurity he'd hidden through 20 years of marriage, the fear that Emily, despite his control, could still slip away. The tension escalated when Michael pulled Emily to a corner of the hall, near the granite staircase, where chandelier light reflected like shattered crystal. The elite crowd continued their chatter, but their glances began to linger, sensing unrest. Michael, his voice dropping to a dangerous whisper, accused her of lingering feelings for Alexander, each word like a razor-sharp knife slicing through the perfect mask Emily had worn for 2 decades. She stood there, hand cradling her pregnant belly, striving to stay calm, but her heart raced, as if the child inside sensed the approaching storm. Then, before the eyes of 300 guest senators, philanthropists, Hollywood stars, Michael erupted. His hand swung, delivering a stinging slap across Emily's cheek, the sharp crack echoing like a gunshot, causing the champagne glass in her numb fingers to slip and shatter on the granite floor. Her cheek burned, blood rushing like fire, and time seemed to freeze, the hall falling silent, the orchestra halting mid-note, every eye fixed on the public scandal. Alexander emerged from the crowd like a forceful gust, his face cold with restrained anger, stepping between Emily and Michael. He didn't need to shout. His presence and piercing gaze alone made Michael recoil, though he clung to a shred of arrogance despite his trembling voice. Victoria, Alexander's mother, her silver hair gleaming under the lights, moved through the crowd with the authority of an elite matriarch, ordering security to escort Michael out. The crowd whispered, phones discreetly recording, and Emily, still clutching her pregnant belly, felt a strange strength rising not from the pain, but from the collapse of the mask she'd worn too long. She locked eyes with Michael, her gaze resolute, declaring without words that she would not return to the home where he controlled her every breath. Michael was led away, leaving Emily amid the scattered crystal shards and 20 years of a hollow marriage, while Alexander stood nearby, his eyes filled with concern yet brimming with the kindness of the boy she once loved. Emily's cheek still burned, as if Michael's slap at the Museum of Modern Art in Los Angeles had seared not only her skin, but her soul, as Alexander and Victoria led her to a private room, away from the glittering chandeliers and the prying eyes of 300 elite guests. The small room, with its warm oak paneling and soft lighting, became a temporary sanctuary from the storm that had just shattered the facade of her 20-year marriage. Alexander's private doctor, a middle-aged woman with sharp yet gentle eyes, checked the baby's heartbeat with a portable ultrasound, confirming all was well, but warning that the stress from the public scandal could harm if left unchecked. Emily sat there, hand cradling her pregnant belly, feeling the gentle kicks of the tiny life inside, a reminder that she was no longer alone, yet no longer the perfect wife Michael had forced her to be. That slap, echoing like a gunshot before the crowd, didn't just shatter the champagne glass but demolish the wall of illusions Emily had built around herself. As Michael was escorted out by security, leaving her amid the sparkling crystal shards on the granite floor, Emily realized the past 20 years weren't love, but subtle abuse, financial control through monitored transactions, belittling her with snide remarks about her fashion design dreams, and isolating her from friends under the guise of social status. Victoria, with her silver hair gleaming and the authority of a Boston elite matriarch, stood beside her, her gaze both resolute and compassionate. She spoke softly, like a wake-up call, that sometimes the most practical choice isn't safety but happiness, an idea that made Emily chuckle bitterly to herself, thinking that if life were a Hollywood movie, Victoria would be the wise mentor, while she was the lead lost in the wrong script. Alexander, standing by the window overlooking Los Angeles's twinkling lights, promised to support her not with the coercion of a man seeking possession, but with the patience of someone who loved her 22 years ago. He didn't demand her return, didn't ask for affection, only offered a path to escape the home Michael called our success. For the first time in 2 decades, Emily felt a glimmer of freedom seeping through the cracks of her broken marriage. With Victoria's connections, she met a top Los Angeles divorce lawyer, a sharp woman who'd handled cases for Hollywood's elite. The decision to divorce came swiftly, not just because of the public slap, but because 300 witnesses, senators to movie stars, saw Michael cross an unforgivable line. Emily moved to a small Malibu apartment overlooking the shimmering Pacific, where she began rebuilding her life with temporary financial help from Alexander, not a gift of pity, but the aid of someone who believed she deserved freedom. Through therapy sessions with Dr. Harper, Emily dug deeper into wounds she'd once denied. The doctor, with a gentle yet incisive voice, helped her see that the abuse wasn't just the slap. It was years of Michael controlling every dress she wore, every email she sent, every dream she dared to dream. Sophia, flying in from San Francisco, became a lifeline, sitting with Emily on the Malibu balcony, watching waves crash against the shore, reminding her she was worth more than Michael's definitions. Emily began to heal, piecing together fragments of herself, not to become the two-year-old who loved Alexander, but to forge a stronger woman, ready to be a mother and live for herself. She smiled wryly, thinking that if life were a sitcom, these therapy sessions would be the inner makeover episode, where the protagonist learns to love herself before loving another. 6 months after the fateful slap at the Museum of Modern Art, Emily sat on a bench in Griffith Park, Los Angeles, where morning sunlight filtered through oak canopies, accentuating the crystal-clear laughter of Olivia, her 3-month-old daughter, with sparkling gray eyes, inherited from her biological father, but cherished as his own by Alexander Hayes. A cool breeze from the Hollywood hills carried the scent of freshly cut grass, and Emily felt a peace she hadn't known in 20 years, not from a lavish mansion or a bank account, but from finally living true to herself. The divorce from Michael, thanks to the public scandal witnessed by 300 people, ended swiftly, granting her financial freedom to move to a 2-bedroom Malibu apartment, where Pacific waves soothed the buried dreams of fashion design. Olivia, in her stroller, babbled joyful sounds, as if she too sensed her mother's liberation. Alexander pushed the stroller with a father's tenderness, despite no blood ties, his eyes twinkling as he pointed out a squirrel scampering on a branch to Olivia. Emily smiled, musing humorously that if life were a Hallmark movie, this would be the perfect happy ending scene, only missing a soft acoustic soundtrack in the background. But this happiness wasn't a sudden miracle. It was forged through grueling months post-slap. Emily had reconnected with Alexander slowly, not from emotional pressure but because of his patience, waiting for her to rediscover herself. One quiet afternoon in her Malibu apartment, Alexander offered a simple silver ring, not flashy like the jewelry Michael once gave to flaunt, but a symbol of a promise. He would wait until she was ready for a shared future. Emily slipped it on, not as a wedding vow, but as an embrace of possibility. Therapy sessions with Dr. Harper remained a guiding light, helping Emily untangle the fragments of an identity Michael had distorted. She learned to trust her judgment, from picking paint colors for her apartment to sketching new fashion designs, bold, free lines reflecting her true self. Sophia, flying in from San Francisco, became Olivia's unofficial godmother, bringing weekends of laughter and deep conversations over coffee, reminding Emily she was worth more than Michael's belittling words. Emily's new life wasn't as glamorous as the Beverly Hills mansion, but every choice from selecting Olivia's preschool to enrolling in a design course was hers alone, unbound by anyone's expectations. She chuckled to herself, thinking that if this were a sitcom, she'd be the protagonist rewriting her life script, with Olivia as the most adorable co-star. The healing journey wasn't always smooth. Some nights Emily lay awake, anxious about single motherhood or the lingering Hollywood gossip about the scandal. But each time Olivia clutched her finger, or Alexander shared a clumsy college story, she realized true happiness lay in simple moments, not the opulent illusions Michael imposed. She regretted not leaving him sooner, not for abandoning him, but for delaying her choice of love over fear. Alexander, with unwavering patience and kindness, showed her that true safety wasn't a mansion or money, but daring to live by her heart. In Griffith Park, as Olivia slept soundly in her stroller and Alexander held her hand, Emily understood that home was no longer a place, but a feeling of belonging with those who loved her for who she truly was. And have you ever dared to abandon false safety for real happiness? If you walk away now, you'll miss the lesson that helped Emily find light after darkness. Stay to see her triumph unfold. And you, my dear audience, brace yourselves for the next twist in this jaw-dropping story. So, before you get too cozy, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you're truly loving what I'm doing here. And drop a comment below letting me know where you're watching from and what time it is for you. It's always a thrill to see who's joining us from all corners of the globe.